Eric Holcomb is asked to give an opening prayer. Hopkins, sorry. No, start with the H, it's kind of close.
Governor?
Shit.
To do the pledge or?
No, we do a prayer first.
Well, it's good to be with you tonight, and let us draw encouragement from the scripture. The psalmist wrote, "Make a joyful noise unto the Lord, all ye lands. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come before his presence with singing. Know ye that the Lord, he is God. It is he that hath made us, and not we ourselves. We are his people, and the sheep of his pasture. Enter into his gates with thanksgiving, into his courts with praise. Be thankful unto him and bless his name. For the Lord is good. His mercy is everlasting, and his truth endures to all generation." May we thank the Lord for his word. Father, we just thank you for this gathering tonight, for this meeting of people. We thank you for the fruitful things that will come from this meeting. Bless those that are here and those of the families that are represented here. And we just thank you in all things. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. Call this meeting to order by pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Eric, forgive me, I'm a senior moment. When you get my age, you'll understand. Everybody's been emailed the minutes from our previous meeting from January 5th. If you should have an opportunity to review them. Are there any additions or corrections that need to be made to the minutes from January 5th?
Make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Have a motion to accept the minutes?
Second.
With a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes from January 5th, please do so by signifying by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. I'll send it down for signatures. Is there any mail that anybody has received that they'd like to share with the body of the council? Now I'll move on to our county attorney.
I don't have anything for you.
Okay. We have no committee reports. Commissioners Representative Dale, if you don't mind, we'll wait till the end of the meeting to talk about the whole thing and let you do whatever.
Might as well.
Okay, thank you. We have no old business. Under new business, I forgot about the committee assignments from year that we do from year to year for the budget and finance and then the wage and salary committee. As I stated earlier in a text I sent out to each of you, I'd like to still remain on the budget committee. Kay has indicated she'd like to stay on the budget committee. So we need, it doesn't matter, the makeup will be 3-4 no matter what we do, one way or the other. What we always do to even if we meet with 3 people, we typically advertise those meetings anyways, just in case another council member wants to pop in or something, because we have to advertise anything with 4 or more council members present. So that being said, is there any preferences to, I'll just go down the line here. Okay, you've already shared yours. Scott?
I'll serve on either. I don't really care.
Jim?
Just put me where you need me.
Okay, it's easy so far. Bob?
Same here.
Okay. John?
I'll stay on salary.
Okay.
I can stay on salary as well.
Okay, so you got 2 for salary, 2 for budget. You got 3 whatever. John, would you chair that?
I can.
Thank you. Scott, would you mind serving on the finance committee?
Sure.
Jim and Bob, would you be okay with working on the salary and wage, or what do you want to be a budget?
It don't matter to me.
Will you guys
I'll
tell-
take the budget.
Okay, so Jim, you're on salary and wage then. Okay. That was very easy. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Next up is our starting salary and starting wage ordinance. We put this together, I believe, to mirror what we currently are paying everybody with the latest raises, so that it makes it easier for department heads to hire, replace, hire somebody if somebody decides to leave. You sort of want to put them back to where they kind of back in the trenches again with wages, so we're trying to make them, everything match up. Is there any discussion on it, or? Motion to approve or disapprove?
I went through everything line by line and just notified Jane of one heading error which she had caught corrected, and I found everything to be in line, so I'd make a motion that, so what are we doing, two of mine? Doing one at a time like that.
Let's just do them both at the same time. So it's ordinance 2021-01 and 2021-02.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that 2101 ordinance on starting salary for full-time and 2102 starting part-time salary be approved as written.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second for the motion to approve, adopt ordinance 2021-01 and 2021-02. Is there any further discussion? If not, move the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. We'll send these down for signatures as well. See attached to this. Okay, next up, we got some transfer requests. We got two for the Area Plan Commission, one in the amount for $100 for gas, the other in the amount of $180.69 for tire maintenance. Discussion, motion.
Jane, are any of these just account number changes?
Yes, they're basically the same kind of thing like what we were doing last year when the state board came in. Some of the things were services that should have been supplies.
We're just taking them out of one account number and putting it into a new account number?
Yes, yes.
That's what I thought. Are all of these that way then? All the
Sorry?
things?
All 6 of the transfers are just that, yes, taking money from one line item
And putting
to
it
another,
into a new account number?
yes.
Is there a motion to approve or disapprove?
I'll move to approve the transfer for the area planning commission, both of those.
Okay, we have a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor of approving the transfer request for the area plan commission, please do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Next up is Cume Cap Development and Cume Jail. Amount of $40,000 for remodeling to maintenance and repair, and then the $3,000 from repairs to repair and maintenance supplies.
Make a motion to approve the transfer request.
We have a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
We have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We have a transfer request for the health department in the amount of $700 from tires and maintenance to gas. Motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the transfer request for the health department.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. And then the coroner. $5,000 from autopsy panels to autopsy panels and labs.
I move to approve the transfer request for the coroner.
The motion and a second for the transfer request for the coroner in the amount of $5,000. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Point of order, Mike, may I ask a question?
Sure.
It doesn't make any difference tonight, but in the future, if I'm serving on the area plan, should I be voting for any budgetary items for that? Should
I
I
don't see a
exclude myself
problem.
from that?
I don't see an issue with it. It's not
I don't
benef-
think there would be,
It's
but
not benefiting you personally.
No issues.
Would
No
be a
issue.
case if it's
Okay.
benefiting
No
you
issues.
personally, right?
Yeah. You're gonna
moving
approve their
funds.
budget, you're gonna approve a lot of things, and there's a
Okay.
council appointment to the APC at all times anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you're fine, but it's a good question, but you're fine.
Okay, additional appropriations, we got a bunch of them. First one up, county general,
I think on the agenda, I gave the version of the, can they just pass in general county all the salaries, or do they need to be office passed? I mean, I have the paperwork office per office, but yeah,
They
you
can
can
pass
just,
all
you can
over.
just pass from this, the 242 altogether.
okay, so there's a hundred.
Yeah.
It'll save time.
Okay, and you send later.
Yeah.
So I was gonna read that one. So we have additional appropriations for county general fund for legal services, county general, legal services, county council, in the amount of $50,000 to cover legal fees, salaries, clerk, auditor, treasurer, recorder, sheriff, surveyor, coroner, assessor, prosecutor, extension, area planning, judicial services, superior court, circuit court, probation, emergency management, jail, animal shelter, and 4D to cover raises in the department in the amount of $242,000. That includes the 50 as well, right?
Yes, no, the 50 is separate. 242 is just the.
Okay, so let me back up. Additional appropriation for county general fund for legal services for county council in the amount of $50,000. Your motion to approve?
Also moved.
Okay,
Second.
motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Now, salaries, clerk, auditor, treasurer, recorder, sheriff, surveyor, coroner, assessor, prosecutor, extension, area planning, judicial services, Superior Court, Circuit Court, Probation, Emergency Management, Jail, Animal Shelter, 4D. In the amount of $242,000 to cover the raises that we gave in December.
Yeah, for the newer people, I think we might have explained to them, this normally wouldn't be on here
Right.
if we had known about the COVID funds before the budget was approved.
And we would have built it in, we would have built it into our budget that we
Yeah,
did. And
because it came after the state budget was approved, so the funds are there in general in addition to what we already had, so we're just putting them in there so they don't have to at a later date in the year to cover salaries.
Right. Is there a motion to approve?
I got a question. How will these raises be sustained for next year? When it comes around the budget time, will it be COVID money then?
Well, what happened this year is we under budgeted significantly because of the COVID. So even the number that we came up with was very conservative, well below what we typically would budget. Because we did not know we'd be getting reimbursed for the $747,000. $747,000, that was a big part of it. Plus the other, what was it? What was the other dollar amount? Read that.
400 some thousand.
That was all that we got, but when the 1782 notices came out, they said that we would be 500,000 to the good.
Yeah, that's right.
After the end of
We got the DLGF report back, so we were 500,000 to the good. So that's where that's coming from. We thought we would get hit harder than what we did. And the other part of it is the departments did such a good job in doing their budgets that they cut back above and beyond what we had expected. And that's your question, Jim?
Yeah, I just hope it's not gonna be a thing where we give them a raise this year, so we got the money, and we'll have to take it back next year.
No, we would have been fine. If we didn't have this COVID thing, we could have done this back in the fall.
I think what Jim's wanting, that's not wrong. Are we gonna be in this situation 5-10 years from now, where we're still gonna be able to maintain this, or we just have to set it year to year?
Well, it depends on future councils. If they keep doing what we've been doing, which has been saving money and going from a negative cash flow to a positive cash flow, we should be fine. We're trending in a positive direction. We were, what, Dale, at one point, 200,000 in the negative? Like 6-7 years ago, we were 200,000 in the negative.
Well, if you want to go back to 2011, we were almost $500,000 negative. We've, gradually improved since then, so, we've come a long way.
We've gone from borrowing money from a jail or something like that, or the Bridges Fund, to pay, to be payroll and so forth, to now we've got a cash reserve that we're steadily trying to work on and grow without wanting to take care of the employees, but we also want to take care of the infrastructure and maintain that. And so we're being very careful to not hurt both. So it's something we've always taken very much into consideration as to what's going to happen down the road. To do exactly what you say, but again,
Yeah, that's what I'm
5-8
asking
years, 10
about.
down the
It's,
road, we don't know what future council will do. If they decide to go spend crazy and maybe no. But as of right now, the way this council sits, the way we've got it set up, it should be fine.
Okay. Well, the county employees are underpaid, I'll say that.
Yeah.
They're underpaid.
And we're getting there, but it's going to take time. I've said it before, we didn't get in this hole overnight, we didn't get out of it overnight. We would like to, but we can't. So, no, I don't remember if there was a motion or not to approve or whether that stood.
I don't remember, I brought it up, tell them what it's about, and then I think.
Changes in
There
there?
hasn't been a motion yet.
There's not a motion been made yet, so is there a
Okay,
motion?
no
to-
motion's been made, okay.
Make a motion to accept additional appropriation of the $242,000.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the additional appropriation in the amount of $242,000. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, covered bridge fund, other services, $1,964.
Make a motion. Pass.
Okay. Jim's made a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Health Department Fund, salaries. That's to cover raises in their department. So some of these departments are funded a little differently. They don't all get everything from county general, some, they're just set up a little differently. This is one of these instances. So is there a motion to approve the $9,000 for the health department?
I'll make a motion to approve the additional appropriation to the health department to cover the wages.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the health department for the raises.
Second.
Have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Cume Cap Development Fund salaries, $3,000. That is also to cover raises in that department.
I'll move we approve that.
John, you made a motion to approve?
I'll second it.
Okay, second. Kayla? Any further discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. Aren't these raises we've already approved?
No, these are some of these departments are funded differently. Like the
Okay.
janitorial staff was taken out of county general to help the general, so that's in Cume Cap Development, isn't it?
So this wasn't part of the raises that we already gave?
No, this is different. This is making up part of that difference.
Okay. I just thought was seconding something we've already done.
No,
The very first one's the Howard County General Fund, and then the others are separate,
Okay.
self-sustaining.
okay. Is there a motion to approve the Cume Cap Development Fund salaries in the amount of $3,000?
Already did.
Was that
Already got that one.
Did that one?
Courthouse
Yeah.
operating.
You got me off. Quarters operating fund, $9,000, and that's for the janitorial staff, correct? That's for janitorial staff. That's not in county general.
Beg your pardon?
That covers the janitorial staff, it's not in county general. I was
Okay.
explaining it for Bob and for Jim.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
To approve.
Approve.
I'll second it.
The motion approved, Bob seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Highway fund salaries to cover raises in this department, if you,
No
for,
way. Oh, sorry.
what's that?
No way.
That'd be for Jay and his, office person.
Yes.
We can take Jay's out, if you want, John. Jay's not here, you'll never know. I don't think you'll like that, though.
Fell through a crack someplace.
See a tongue behind his mask.
So is there a motion to approve the $6,000 to cover the raises in the highway department?
I'll make a motion to approve the additional appropriation of $6,000 for the highway department.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the $6,000 for that. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second. Is there a motion to approve the additional appropriation for the highway fund for salaries for $6,000?
Ken made it, Bob seconded it.
This is so much freaking stuff, isn't it?
You just need a vote.
Just need a vote.
It's like becoming robotic, you know? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. It's your fault. It's our fault, I guess.
There's like 3 senators, isn't there?
I know that. Again, under highway fund for equipment, an additional appropriation amount of $9,800 to cover the purchase of 2 furnaces and 3 ceiling fans. I guess Jay's here if you want to ask him any questions, but pretty self-explanatory. Is that replacing your oil burning?
Yeah, they wore out, and it was gonna cost us $4,200 a piece to fix them. And the gas man or heaters work better anyway.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
We have a motion to approve, it's been seconded, is it, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Statewide 911 Fund, retirement group health insurance. $25,000 for retirement, group health insurance, $65,000. move those benefits from the city share fund due to lack of availability of money in that fund. So that's also to cover, is it to cover raises? Jane?
No.
Just something to just cover the lack of money. Okay. So that's just to cover the that's to move those benefits from the city share fund due to lack of available money in that fund.
Why is there lack of money in that fund?
If you go on down the reduction and appropriation, we're moving those expenses from one fund to the other.
Yeah, we're moving it from to Fund 1222, which usually it pays the full-time employees, to 4912 that takes care of the part-time employees. Part-time employees aren't eligible for the retirement group health insurance anyway, so it makes sense to move it, and it helps out the city share fund. Takes care of most of it. I'll make a motion that we pass the statewide 911 fund additional appropriation and the reduction in appropriation for the statewide 911
I'll second it.
fund.
Okay, we have a motion to take care of the additional appropriation as well as the reduction in appropriation for state 911 fund, the amount of $25,000 to $65,000. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Jeez. I don't think I've ever had that many. Need a recess to get a drink of water. Clarified water. Okay. Now I see that we have, Jay, were you here to talk about the additional appropriations? At all, or were you?
We're done now, aren't they?
Yeah, I didn't know if that's why you were
That's
here.
the only reason I showed up, just in case.
Joey, that's why you showed up?
No, I'm here for
Okay.
Heather's just gonna give an update.
You wanted to give an update?
Yep.
Well, the floor is all yours.
Yes.
I need a break. I need a drink of water.
Hello, everybody. Just wanted to give you guys an update on the Extension Office. We're very busy, and it's exciting to be busy. So, 4-H, as you know, comes out of our office. The enrollment soft deadline is January 15th. We picked the January 15th date because after January 15th, that's when we start sending out mailings to people who've signed up for 4-H and specific projects for workshops or whatnot. As of January 15th, we have 366 members enrolled. That's about 20 less than last year, but we have several pending. And we still have some rolling in. We even had a couple in yet this week, and some questions as to whether they could still enroll. So we're on track to either match or exceed our last few years of numbers. I think after last year's challenges and a new system this year for signing up, we're super excited about the numbers still staying the same. Let's see, what do we want to do now? Our community wellness coordinator and our nutrition education assistants, they have been continuing to do some food distributions throughout the county. Their goal with the food distributions is not just a food distribution, it's sustainability. So during the food distributions that we do in Extension, we're providing recipes that go with the food that they're getting so that they can extend that food a little bit further, helping people read nutrition labels. Actually, a couple of girls in our office have been able to work with people in the grocery store to help their finances go a little further, and again, read nutrition labels. So that group's really excited to sort of get into the community a little bit more. Those our NEPA assistants started in January of last year, so they're really moving forward. Rhonda, our Health and Human Sciences educator, has been working with Community Christian School since November, maybe, November, December. She's been able to be in their school 3 days a week, doing some teaching on life skills, science, nutrition, health, just different things that the principal's wanting to cover. So Rhonda's been really excited, doing a lot of experiments with that group. She's working hard on that. Myself in the Ag and Natural Resources group, I've got a program coming up called Annie Project. It's a Women in Agriculture focused program that will be held in Union County. I'm co-hosting with the educator in Union County. And that's a program where Women can learn about grain marketing, drones, insurance, human resources if they have employees. So that will be a 6-week course that we're teaching February and March. That'll be in person. We're super excited to do some in-person training and programs.
Did you say drones?
Yep,
That's a good career to get into right now.
it sure is. And it's becoming more important in farming. So we're able to get an educator from Delaware County. He is trained in that. He actually can get people certified. So he's coming to Union County to be able to do some programming for that, kind of introductory course, if you will, not the actual official
It's nice that you used to have to have a pilot's license to do that. Now FAA has reduced their restrictions.
Yes. Let's see what else we got. An annual report is coming out. Every year we give you guys an annual report. This year it's a big deal for us. Fayette County is actually going to be recognized twice with 2 stories in this annual report because of work that Becky Marble, our community wellness coordinator, has done in our community the last year. So that's a big deal to be recognized by Purdue and covering the whole state. All 92 counties get reviewed and looked at as to what programs they're doing and the work that they're accomplishing. So that will come to you guys hopefully by the end of this month. You'll each get your own copy, and we'll definitely flag the pages that Fayette County has highlighted. And finally, I know Kay is the Extension Board representative here. She's already received some information, but our Extension annual meeting will be held March 24th. It's a Wednesday evening. It will be virtually. You'll all be getting an invite, and you're welcome to attend. We'll be joining Fayette County and Union County Soil and Water, doing that annual report together, and we'll be virtual. Any questions?
You guys are doing a great job down there.
Thank
Everyone
you.
down there.
Thank you. We're working hard. We all love the work we do, and I feel like a year and 4 months in, we're getting our footing and we're moving forward. So
Got a great bunch of people.
we do. I agree. We've got a good team that works together well. All right. Very good. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you for your report. Appreciate the good work you're doing.
Thank you.
Well, commissioners, we've got to do all this stuff in like 30 minutes, so there you go. You got one thing to talk about, so you got way less than 30 minutes.
Good evening, council. Mike, if you have to leave in 30 minutes, we'll carry on, okay? The reason we commissioners are here this evening is we did give you an advance warning at our January 19th meeting. We agreed on the need to reopen the discussion about what, if anything, to do with the Dollar General store that the county purchased in the fall of 2018. And since then, we've had at least 2 feasibility studies. Well, we had 1 full feasibility study done, and we've heard advice from 2 different engineering companies on how and what to be done with that building. We have with us here this evening the Sheriff Laughlin and the Director of Community Corrections, Michelle Dudley, who are key principals in this or any other project of its type. The reason the Dollar General store, as you recall, was purchased to begin with was to hopefully start a community corrections program for female offenders, as well as house some female inmates at the jail in an effort to reduce the overcrowding situation at the jail, which is still ongoing. Now, fast forward a couple of years, here we are again, and we haven't got this project off top dead center. We're starting out this year now with 1 new commissioner and 3 new council members, and I hope that this kitchen table discussion can bring everybody up to speed and answer any questions that anyone has, and see if we can come to a consensus between our 2 bodies to either move forward or move backward or just stay on top dead center. So we commissioners are resolved, we're not going to run out and obligate the county and anything without consulting you on it. So that's what we'd like to talk about this evening. And I've invited all of you over to take a look at the Dollar General store. I know a couple of you have, and I appreciate that. The building is in sound, it's structurally sound. It's just basically one big empty box. No major problems that we're aware of. So the one of the feasibility study that we did have done, and I think all of you are familiar with this, is everyone should have a copy. You new members, have you got a copy of this study?
You probably did.
I
Okay.
had one.
On page 109 of that study, it shows a sample floor design of what could be done there. It doesn't necessarily have to be just what it shows here on this diagram. That's just merely as an example of what could be done. It could be weighted more toward community corrections or more toward female jail inmates. It could be rearranged any way that, you know, that best suits the needs of the two departments that would use it. So there's where the input of the sheriff and the community corrections director is of utmost importance on this. I can't tell them what they need. I don't know. Only they can answer those questions. So I know that there's been, several discussions over the last couple of years or so, whether this is the right or wrong thing to do. Should we go bigger? Should we go smaller? That's what we want to talk about with you this evening. So if anyone has any thoughts, we'd like to hear what it is. And because whatever is done, if anything, it's going to be paid for, and we can't pay for it without your help and your blessing.
What cost lines do you have? I mean, what parameters are you looking at, Dale?
Well, as far as the Dollar General store goes, the highest estimate that the engineering company provided for us was a maximum of $2.3 million, and that was with variable factors. It could be, I can't imagine it would be more, but it could certainly be a lot less.
Dale, was the soft, that 2.3, did that include the soft costs?
No.
That was just the hard
Yeah,
costs, right?
soft costs would be
That would push it to what, 2.9, almost 3?
Right.
possibly.
They estimated 25 to 30% cost, soft cost.
I think the only way we could get any closer or any more exact on what actual costs on something like this would be to have an actual design made. We'd have to contract with an engineering company to actually just tell them, formulate a design for this project. And they would have to consult naturally with the sheriff and the community corrections director, get from them exactly what they need, what they don't need, and come up with something, a design that actually meets all federal and state jail regulations and all the other regulations that have to be considered. And they could probably I would say, get really, really close to what a real cost would be. Once you have that, there's always a possibility too, you know, the formula that they use at computing costs very often doesn't include local contractors, things you can do for yourself, items like that. You know, they'll figure a cost on based on farming everything out.
Sheriff, I've heard a number, but I'd rather hear it from you, and I just haven't had a chance to ask you about it. How many prisoners does the jail hold right now?
We're supposed to hold 114 is the capacity. We're at 134 right now, which is a good number for us, but that's, it is a good number for us, but a lot of that's because COVID restrictions.
Sure.
Not everybody that typically would be coming to jail is coming to jail right now. We have about 29 female inmates today, which that number's down. That's been the biggest rise in the population in the last 8 to 10 years. So, you know, we peaked at 180, 190 at the worst. But those numbers are down right now. But I mean, even at 134, they're ideally the state jail inspector. They want you to be 80%.
Oh, I'm sure they're having a field day with us.
Yeah.
What do you think an average is?
An average population in the 140s, 145s typically.
145.
Through these 6 years that I've been in, it's been a pretty good average.
Joey, to staff this, how many more employees would you need?
I don't know. It depends on which avenue we go. Obviously, the Women's Work Release Center, you know, there's a lot of appeal there, and part of, you know, the reason we keep bringing that up is it's just something we can't offer to female prisoners right now. They don't even have that option. So, you know, if it's going to be geared more towards that, I don't know additional staffing. I mean, I have several female guards that would be directed more towards that, obviously, if we put inmates back there. We've never got to the logistics of that exactly. It's never got off the ground, just to be honest. We formed the Jail and Justice Committee. We had a study done by the National Institute of Corrections. They asked us to form the Jail and Justice Committee, which we did, which was a commissioner, a council member, folks from the city. We met numerous times. The mayor was there, and that was our recommendation at the end, basically because we didn't want to obligate the county for the funds to build a new jail. Obviously, if we just had the money and that was something that we could pull off if we were Carmel or, you know, some big city, that would be fantastic. However, we know that's not the reality here. So that was our recommendation, that we buy the Dollar General, refurbish it, and turn it into some type of women's facility. So as far as the employees that were needed, I don't think there would be many, if at all. I mean, if we worked together and staffed it together, she and I have had a lot of just kind of casual conversations about it.
Yeah.
But there are, you know, logistics, like feeding them, having our nurse go back there, you know, where those costs are going to come in. Is that included in our contract with Quality Correctional Care? Do we got to expand that? So there's a lot of work on our end to be done, but we've never got full direction on, hey, what you guys do. We work really well together. I don't think there'd be much, wouldn't take us long to get numbers together and what we need to put together.
Sheriff, what you said there were 29 female inmates now?
Yes.
What's the average?
It's been peaking in the 40s. We used to, when I hired in, 20 years ago, we'd have 8 females. That was a lot. Now we have 2 blocks full of females at the time. Obviously, numbers are down because of COVID, but 40's been a pretty consistent number most of the time.
So even if we had this women's work release, we'd still be within 10 of reaching our max.
Yes. Yeah. So
And there lies the problem, right?
it provides relief, but not enough. And that's the issue. And
It's a Band-Aid. That's typically what we do in this county is put a Band-Aid on things. We don't take the time to vet it out and take the time. And I think it just needs more time. I mean, back October 13th, we got an email about the probation, how deplorable it is over there. Can't even get contractors to look at the thing. You got water leaking in there. You got holes in the walls. You got plaster falling off the wall. The rest, you get urinals that are constantly running. It smells like urine in some of those bathrooms. You had ceiling tiles missing. You got one estimate of $35,000, but he says it's probably gonna be 3 times that to actually do the work in that building to get it where it's workable. Uneven floors. It's just, that place is bad, and I'm surprised that they haven't revolted and had a fit. I mean, that's what needs to be addressed.
To the last one, be careful.
And if I can, and it's probably more Michelle to answer a lot of that, and even the prosecutor, the female work release aspect of it to me is the biggest appeal, that, you know, so many of these offenders, male offenders, are given these sentences to go do work release, and a lot are striving, and some struggle and stumble and find their way back to us, but there's not female inmates getting that opportunity at all, that I think would be, you know, a great thing for a lot of them. So, I mean, that to me is the greater appeal of the situation. Obviously, the jail, like you said, Scott, it's not going to be a huge relief to the jail. It's just not.
You got a lot of issues over there too. You got outdated equipment, outdated security equipment.
Yeah.
That you have to deal with one vendor to get the parts and pieces for it.
Yeah.
And it's just,
Very
to me,
outdated.
there's more work that needs to be done and looked at to see what really makes sense.
Well, we've got, strictly from a finance perspective, I mean, for an asset like that, I'd like to see us get 50 years out of it. And we're in year 31, 32, something like that? The situation's untenable. I mean, something's got to be done,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
But, and from strictly a finance perspective, it's never going to be cheaper to do something than it is right now. But I'm not sure we could have, you know, the DLZ report talked about a new jail that could cost, you know, including soft costs, up to $30 million. And then you've got work release around 3, and an expansion renovation that would be somewhere in between. Anything other than a new jail, we're gonna have to do something down the road, right? Probably at a more expensive cost if we're talking about beyond 2 years, because the Federal Reserve has said they're going to keep interest rates low for about 2 years, and then they're going to start ticking it up.
Wait till the housing starts dropping, you'll see that turn
But-
around real quick.
But the thing is, in normal situation, I'd say let's just bite the bullet and do it. But I'm not sure we can afford a $3 million project, let alone 30. So in the end, from my perspective, it's an executive decision, which is the commissioners. You tell us what you want to do, and we'll see if we can pay for it.
Well, that was my question. I mean, okay, we sit here and say, okay, let's go with it. We haven't got the money to do it with. Where do we go?
Well, I mean, there's all kinds of financing strategies that we can do, and I know, you know, Commissioner Strong has at least shared with me some ideas. I'm a little iffy about those, but
I got, you know, Michelle, correct me, when we bought that building, I know there was discussion about buying it with DOC funds. Did that happen?
It was not DOC funds, it was community corrections funds, and the board, and there was a signed letter that was
Right.
sent over. If it's not used for
Right.
community corrections
We have to pay
purposes,
the
right,
Department
it
of
has to
Corrections
be
back.
reimbursed. But if I could add to the studies that were done, no one ever told us what the capacity would be in there. I was never talked to ever about any of it, and neither was Joey. And they've got these 2 big classes. It's been months since I've looked at that schematic, so they've got these big classrooms. They've got one for the work release side and one for the jail. I don't need a classroom. I have a classroom. They're work release, so they can walk from one building to the other because they're going to be out anyway. If you eliminate that classroom, then you've got bed space for that. So whatever it's saying the capacity is, it can go up. But we go forward with even a study, they need to sit down with both Joey and I and talk about that. And I know it was brought up 2 years ago, well, who's gonna have the authority and who's gonna be in charge of it? I think that's pretty much a moot point because Joey is the highest law enforcement officer in this county, so obviously he would have complete control of the building as far as what can and can't be done and who can and can't come in and so forth, just like he has control over the jail. It would be his baby as far as that. I have money in my budget to contribute towards renovation, and I would be willing to bring staff over. I can't staff at 24/7, but I will share that responsibility. And I don't need I think they had me down for 28 or 30 beds. I don't need 28 or 30 beds. I'd be happy with 10 or 15.
Yeah,
Just
the plan
something for these females.
The plan they had was for 26 beds each side, which was 52 altogether, that DLZ had anyway. And I know what you're saying about the classrooms. It was, they basically laid out to try and cover all bases, strictly for female. And I think the building would probably be good use for what you guys are talking about. Maybe not long-term with female inmates continue, but the thing that I would struggle about it, out of all the planned options that DLZ and both engineering firms gave us, if we go ahead with this for the $3 million or whatever to convert it over to work retention, that takes out at least 2 of the other optional plans that they had, which was build a whole new facility, almost the whole block, and you're getting into this, you're being backed into where your only option might be just an expansion onto our current jail, which I'm not saying is a bad idea, but doing this one step now without considering, well, okay, yeah, it's going to work now. Now, 5 years, now we're ready for a jail or something happens. We've narrowed down maybe what we can do. And I think there was also talk, and somebody reminded me of, was hoping to plan this so that when the courthouse was paid off, that there was a nice smooth transition from the courthouse being paid off to a new facility with no increase in taxes because the taxes were already being paid. It would be less, rather than get it paid off and property taxes drop for 5 or 6 years and then build a new facility and then they jump back up. I think there'd be a lot more turmoil and about raising taxes again. But I don't think the courthouse is paid till 2027. Is that right? You know, so that's 6 more years, which in the long run, if you're going to build a new facility, it'd probably almost take that long to plan and get everything in place. I don't know. But that's the only thing that I would struggle on this. I think the $3 million probably could be doable between DOC and however we'd come up with more funds, or if there's a grant out there or something. But what it would do then 5 years from now, when we're into the next sheriff wanting his new jail, this one I think would be glad to get through without it, but you know, it's going to be on somebody else then, and that would be my concerns on what you do now and what it's going to affect, you know, 5 years from now.
The big thing that kind of got this, where I guess everybody started getting more serious about this, is when we started getting held in non-compliance by the state jail inspector, and then it, you know, was in the paper and became very public, and everybody started talking about that. Now, for whatever reason, we've done tremendous strides through the council and commissioners about adding employees and doing things we needed to do, and they backed off for whatever reason and quit holding us in non-compliance. But most of the issues that existed when that started still are there. They've just not stated that we're in non-compliance anymore, but we still are technically without them saying that. So that's kind of what got everybody kind of more serious and, hey, we need to do this. And the council was great. These guys that were, I mean, they added staff when we needed. We still need to work on that, but here and there. But, you know, it's a lot's happened, but we're still, it's just moved sideways. I mean, I've been in here 6 years. We've been talking about this 6 years, so I appreciate the commissioners and this discussion. This should have happened a while ago, you know, and it is going to be, I have 23 months left. You know, I mean, this is probably more than likely going to be somebody else's burden to bear. But, you know, I get both sides of the argument. Like I said, from our standpoint and that Jail and Justice Committee, it was going to be hard for us to come in and obligate, or not obligate, but tell the county, hey, you need to spend $30, $40 million on a new jail. I've heard all the pitches. I've been in all of it. I've got everything you guys have. It sounds fantastic. Sounds fantastic for Deputy Laughlin. That'll be out taking calls and don't have to worry about the rest of it. But Sheriff Laughlin, it's a big undertaking, you know, but I mean, there's no additional staff with some of that. There's a lot of upside to it too, but it's a lot of money. I don't have to answer the public on the money side of it. That's not your guys.
I think another thing,
I don't envy your position.
I think another thing we talked about during all the discussions too, and with our lawyer being here, there's probably legal liability out there that if somebody would find a lawyer someplace that they could, we could need additional appropriations again, but it just takes one person. Yeah.
I would
Just
echo
to-
John's sentiments that I would just hate to put on one path and back ourselves into a corner, because I don't think it's been fully vetted yet. I think that whatever makes the most sense, the council will back you. But I just think there's more homework that needs to be done yet to decide what is the best path. Do we do this as a Band-Aid fix to get to the next part of possibly building a new jail? Do we, it's like, you know, you spend $3 million to renovate this building, and you're kind of stuck with this building you've renovated. Then what do? Your options are limited to what you can do. I just think we need to do more homework on it and figure out what makes the most sense. What are actual costs going to be? It's like Scott said, it's not going to get cheaper as the years go on, but we're faced with the reality that we won't be able to do anything for a few years, most likely.
Well, a project like this, Mike, certainly would not fix our problems for a long, long time. I think at best it would buy us some time. How many years it could buy us, I don't know. That all depends on, you know, what our jail population or actual numbers are going forward. And the time we're buying, you know, how much is that time worth? You got to be able to put a price tag on what it's worth to, you know, is spending a couple $1 million now worth buying 10 more years before a drastic decision has to be made. But I think that from my perspective, I think to proceed with caution, extreme caution, and share every detail with you, you know, as far as costs go, before any final decision will be made is a must. Is something like this going to do, you know, would this a project like this do the same thing that a new 291 bed jail do? No, it won't. It won't do it. But you know, all of you was in these things except 3 of you. Let me give you an example. Just an example of what a $30 million jail project costs. If a $30 million jail project, if you float a bond issue for a project like that, and then you get lucky and you get a bond issue at 2%, you're going to need an additional $1.6 million a year for 30 years just to make payments on that jail. And that's 1.6 million extra, more than you have right now, you'll need just to make payments on that jail. Now that doesn't, and along with that, you know, your population is gonna go up. All your peripheral expenses are gonna go up. You're gonna pick up at least, I'd say at least 2 more pauper attorney contracts at $50,000 apiece. Additional heating and cooling expenses, because it's gonna be a larger building. All utilities will go up. Your food bill gonna go up. And I'm sure Joey could think of some other things. that would-
Utilities would actually go down. Utilities would go down.
Utilities would go
They
down.
would go down because of the way they made it, they design buildings today. They're gonna do more LED lighting, there's gonna be more solar type stuff. That stuff will go down.
Also, I think on a bond issue, you could probably get it below 2%. But, I mean, not a lot lower, not a lot lower, but somewhat.
You
Joey,
a little bit, you could probably do a little bit better than that.
May I ask a
Now,
question real
today.
quick? If the jail population was 75, would we be compliant?
Oh, yeah.
Would the jail be satisfactory?
Beg your pardon, Bob.
Would the jail be satisfactory? We had 75 in there instead of 140?
You'd be able to live it along longer.
Oh. We had justice of the peace, don't we?
Well, gotta consider the condition of the building
Yeah. Life expectancy of the building.
I'm saying we've got the judicial problem as much as we've got a jail problem. I really feel that way. And it's just, what is the major crime most of them's in there for? Drugs?
About 90%.
Yeah.
And we don't keep track between users and dealers, do we? Or do we?
We do, but and this is a defense attorney speaking, so
Okay.
I'm going to be careful. But
Okay.
we keep track of the difference. But what is a drug deal? There's never been a guy that's possessed a drug that didn't get it from a dealer, right? So your
Right,
buddy,
exactly.
your buddy handing you just a little bit of drugs is a drug deal. So I would probably argue that you go to prison for drug deals, you don't go to prison for possessions, right? But it's a touchy subject.
But they all
it's
go
a
to jail
touchy
anyway.
subject in Indiana. So there's possession with the intent to deal. It doesn't, that's usually taken care of by the criminal justice system.
Yeah. And that's part of the problem there. I mean, we could get, and I'm all, I appreciate what you're doing, Dale, I really do. But I think that we've got other problems more than just the jail. Okay?
Oh, sure, yeah.
You have a drug problem in the community, it's a problem. I mean, and so, and I'm certainly not going to speak for Betty Jones, but her, and she's passionate about it and believes in her theory is that she's got to be hard on that to get it out of here. So the other theory you're kind of speaking of, which is as a defense attorney, I love the idea of my guys getting out. Are we creating a bigger problem in the community?
No,
And so
I'm
that's
not
a
wanting to do that.
philosophical thing that is.
I know other areas move them through quicker on minor problems, okay? And that's what I'm looking at, rather than incarcerating for 2 or 3 or 4 months, which puts a burden on the jail. I'm looking at other ideas besides building a new jail, okay? That's just my question. Most of it's drug related.
Yeah, and one thing that had really killed us here is the state's position on not accepting level 6 offenders into the state prisons. They say, you're going to keep them home.
Right.
And rumor is that may change within the next year or two. I don't know. You hearing the same thing, Joey?
Yeah, a lot of the conversations with the sheriff, between the sheriffs, the emails, there's a lot of talk of that. It's not happened obviously yet, but we're all very hopeful that it does happen.
Yeah.
It was a big burden for all county jails. We actually went to a meeting where we were under the assumption that it was all going to be good news. We got this, DOC came in and laid that on us and a few other things, namely the insurance that we thought we were going to get reimbursed for these inmates and all that, and it was the complete opposite. So it was a lot of disgruntled sheriffs.
So the system has problems too, right, Joey?
Oh, sure, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a big issue.
So,
And there's discussion, there's been discussion going on in the state legislature about this ever since they changed the rule, and it's ongoing again now. And who knows what will come out of the legislature. You know, just this year, they've got over 400 Senate bills pending and over 600 House bills pending. So who knows what they will wind up doing on anything up there. But for them to change their position on level 6s would really, really help us. I mean, that would take the consideration of a new jail out of the question for probably another 25 or 30 years.
Joey, how many level 6 have you got?
About 28 or 30 right now.
That would help, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would help. And you know, just to give the breakdown of our inmates, I mean, those 130 some inmates right now, about 90 of them are pre-sentence inmates. So, I mean, there's a lot of people. We have very good law enforcement here that are doing their job and arresting who needs to be arrested. But you know, the process is slow. You know, sometimes the judicial process. So I mean, you know, a lot of those people are waiting a year or two to go to trial. You know, and that's.
Well, Joey, some of them had to wait 3 or 4 months to even hear from their pauper attorney.
so the level 6 question is a state issue, correct? It's not one that we can
Right.
deal with here, right? So we've got to deal with what we have to deal with here. Bob, you mentioned something about a justice of the peace.
Well, I know it's not done in Indiana, but they do
Is
have
it-
systems. We were
is-
told by our attorney that they do have ways to do that.
Is it possible to do that in Indiana? A justice of the peace? Under
I
current
just
Indiana
don't-
law?
I think while that's it, I think what he's really wanting is some type of alternative system, and I think we have a beginning of that as drug court. That's what I would probably think he's
Yeah.
really looking at, and we have a drug court program, but when you begin those things, the resources, you know, they kind of build on each other. It's a program
Right.
where everybody's learning. We've got essentially Brandon Burgess is the only employee, I believe, for drug court.
Is it
So-
cheaper than $30 million?
Yeah. So, but that's drug court is a thing that's moved. That I think is when Bob talks
Yeah,
about justice of the
correct.
peace. I think that's what he's trying to move towards. But there's only so many spots available, and there's got to be enough people for drug court to work. Even the defense attorney is sitting in front of you. For drug court to work, you got to have enough people supervising to be after him, because you can't just, you know, and so that's another avenue that you should talk about. Maybe is spending more money on drug court.
Correct.
And community corrections takes a lot of inmates off our hands as well too. A lot of people that are going through the work release program. And I mean, so there is a lot of relief, and we're still at the spot we're in, even with drug court for doing their part.
And we've taken quite a few off your hands to save the county medical funds. They've released them to us, and I don't get any money from them because they don't pay, but at least the taxpayers aren't having to pay for their care while at the jail. In drug court, like he said, it's full because, and correct me if I'm wrong, Indiana courts has set up drug court guidelines, and they only X amount of persons can be supervised by one person. So they would have to have additional staff to put more people in the drug court. And he applied for more staff through the grant process, but was given the same amount of funding as he previously had. And that program is just like my program. It's completely funded by the Department of Correction and Project Income Fees.
But it was help solve a problem, and I'm still thinking doing something with your CVS building is an important thing to do. If nothing else, the fact that we're not collecting taxes off that building anymore, so we need to do something with it. Right?
Yeah, you're right. It's not on the tax
If we
rolls.
keep buying up properties around here and not paying taxes on them, we're going to cut our own throats before it's over. So,
Yeah, well, you know, Bob, I think, I'll defer to our counselor here. I think probably, I don't know if successfully, the argument could be made that not providing a community correction or work release program for female offenders is discriminatory. You know, could we be sued for not doing it? I guess you can be sued for anything, but would the suit be successful? I don't know. You know, but it does seem awfully unfair that we do it for men and we don't do it for women. I think Michelle would have already had that taken care of if it weren't for the fact that the men and women can't be housed in the same facility. They have to be separated. So I'm assuming that if it wasn't for that, you would have already done it, right?
Yes,
Okay.
but obviously, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
If a new facility was built in a way, they could be housed in the same building though, right? If it was designed in such a way.
Yeah, if you can separate them just like the jail does, you know, he's got a cell block for them, but you're talking additional.
Because one concern I've always had with this, and this is kind of outside of where I'm not advising you legally at this point other than experience. One concern I have about this, the idea of putting actual inmates in the same place as work release people, is it creates, Shelby County has that. Their work release, they come in the same door as the incarcerated folks. So you've got people that are out, running around, coming in. You get into, they're going to drop drugs in this corner, they're going to drop drugs in that corner. There's going to be all kinds of that. It almost, to me, would be better to have a work release facility and just have only people that did work release in that facility, men and female.
But you could
them
have
separated.
2 entrances.
You could have
also.
2 entrances or something, but when you start having in the same building, I don't know. I mean, you guys, I don't know how it works now. I've not been through it, but I know Shelby County, it's a nightmare because they have to treat every work release person. They have to strip search them pretty much because they're coming into a general population facility where they can be sneaky. And these guys are very clever.
We both worked in the jail when we did work release at the jail,
And
it was a
it
huge,
worked.
yeah, it was a trafficking issue.
Right.
Big
Big
time.
time.
So I almost wonder if a work release facility wouldn't make sense to if we opened up bed space at the jail and just put it to where we had it set up to where there's a male and female, but it was only work release. Because then there's less, as silly as that sounds, there's less trafficking issues.
Yeah. And I mean, we keep, the women's centers, what we keep talking about are for, you know, just that purpose. There's other purposes. I think the classes that we have in the jail, which we've had to suspend right now because of COVID, but we've been doing this, the name escaping me, the classes.
Intensive jail treatment.
Yeah, the jail treatment classes we've had have been really successful. And like with anything, there's success stories, and then there's, you know, people that you know, fall back into it. But that's also something that could be used for. That, you know, we were taking 2 entire cell blocks and having people just dedicated to that. They learn all kind of skills, and you know, every time that, you know, there was kind of a constant battle between us to, you know, keep it going, and you know, every time we get, man, we just can't really do this anymore. Then, you know, I'm at Walmart and have some mom walk up and go, look at that. And it's a picture of her son, and he went through that program. He's clean now. So every time, you know, we get to that, you get these anecdotal stories that, you know, like, okay, we need to keep this going. So there's a lot of different things. The reason I say there's a lot of different things that building could be used for. Obviously, you know, both arguments are good on both sides. Building a $3 million jail and then wiping it out in 5 years also is doesn't sound great either if you're going to have to build an entirely new jail. So,
And on that issue, as far as building an entirely new one, where it would go, one scenario that was put to me was tearing down the current work release facility that we're in now. And I just want to add that we all know that if you undertake building a new jail, it's going to take several years, at least 2 years. Look at Rush County. It's going to take at least 2 years. If you're going to tear the building that we're in now down, where are those people going for 2 years? That work release program is completely gone, and so is the DOC grant then that Fayette County's receiving, which is just under $1 million. It's gone and it won't come back.
Michelle, I can answer that for you. Since I work in this industry, they do it as a phased approach. They take the vacant land and they build whatever is going to be in that place, and they slowly work it around the property that they want to replace with, the buildings with. So let's just say that they started the jail portion, if that's what they decided to do, if that was a greater need. They would get that portion built up first, then they would go back and either retrofit the jail to make it accommodate what you are doing. See, I guess the short answer is you would never lose any of your programs. You would never be out of business. You never have closed doors. You would always be open. You'd always be here. You would never shut it down.
I see what you're saying, but if you're gonna fix that jail, then fix it and stay there. I've already checked, the utilities for that building for 2 months run more than my building for an
Right.
entire year. I can't afford to be in that building.
Well, that's what I was saying, is that
And
they,
everything's wore out because the county, face it, the county does not maintain. They react to problems they don't maintain. I've
So-
tried to maintain that building that we're in. If there's a problem, I address it and I fix it. And I realize it's different because I do have money sitting in there that I can take, just like the foundation issue. That was around 20 grand. I did, all I had to do was go to my ward and say, hey, I got a foundation issue, there's water coming in the building. Fine, pay for it out of CTP funds and fix it, whatever it takes. The same on camera systems. That was another almost 20 grand. There's, you know, I do have the money to fix it, but I've tried to maintain that building.
so what we're worried about is really a lot of nothing, because if they retrofit that jail, everything's gonna be new in there. Heating, air conditioning, everything's gonna be retrofitted. Nothing's gonna be old. It's gonna be all basically new. The shell may remain the same, may be modified, maybe up, you know, get a facelift, but the guts of the building are gonna be new. So that's not gonna be an issue. So you're gonna be dealing with current HVAC, current lighting, all that stuff would be current, up to today's standards and code, not what was built 30 years ago. So that would be a non-issue. And that's if they even kept the existing bones of the building. We don't know. I mean, that's a hypothetical down the road, but that, they do those things as a phased project. Typically, it's 3 or 4 phases before they even get to the whole project done.
Have we ever heard a scenario or had any type of study done on them coming in and just, if we're gonna do that for them, that they just did that for the jail, for the sheriff's department? That they would come in and, because I've always been under the assumption, I don't know if DLZ answered that question or not, I was told that the jail wasn't built to code when they built it. The
Right.
shower ratio, the inmate ratio is off, that'd be something, there's a lot there, but, I mean, is there a middle ground somewhere that we could look into? Because I've never heard that figure, or even that it's been talked about. Because, you know, I can get in, most of you know, a lot of the issues in that jail. I mean, the camera system alone is something that has to be addressed.
Well, Joe, and we also know that part of the problem that you'll always have in a jail system, I don't care if you build a brand new one tomorrow, is guys get bored, they stop up toilets, they mess up showers, and you're gonna have the same problem with a new jail you've got with this one within 5 years.
Yeah.
To answer your question, DLZ did not answer those questions in their study, and nobody really has.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find.
Those are figures, are spitball figures, the 30 million, whatever, because the other RQW came and gave different figures too, so. It all depends on what you want to do and how you want to do it and how much you want to spend, how many beds you want to put in there.
One issue is hunters too. I mean, that's something we've not talked about in here, is acquiring that property at some point, because if it is looking at a new jail, that's gonna have to be bought too. So. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I mean.
Well, okay, yeah, well, for the record, I want you all to understand, I am not advocating the building of a new jail. There's no, right now, there's no possible way to, for funding. You can't fund something like that. So if we can buy some years by expanding to the Dollar General store, I could only recommend proceeding with caution. And our first step would be getting an actual plan prepared, which could be done very cheaply. I don't know what it would cost. It wouldn't cost very much to have an actual workable plan. And from there, we could decide, you know, do we have the wherewithal to go ahead and do it? But, you know, you really have to have a concrete plan, and that's something that we don't have. You know, feasibility study is one thing, an actual plan is your next or first step. So I think that's, I don't want to say that I'm saying too much for the other two commissioners, but I think that's where we are. We would like to see, you know, a plan and know, you know, very, very close what we could expect to see in expenses on something like this. Then we could all decide from there whether or not we wanted to go forward with it. But for us to go out and, you know, obligate the county without you on board is just not the way we're going to do business.
Dale, everybody knows I'm not for a new jail.
Well, neither am I.
So, I'm not gonna spend on $30 million because I don't think we'll have tax money coming in future years.
But, you know,
I'm gonna take a $30 million policy on you. How many more years you got?
I see this as an alt.
Or I died 4 times.
As something we could, you know, hopefully stall the need for a new jail for a number of years to come. And at the same time, hopefully alleviate some of the problems, current problems at the jail.
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely.
So, back to our original reason for being here, is try to arrive at a consensus. What would you like us to do?
Well, I've shared my thoughts. I think more homework needs to be done. I wouldn't even enter into an agreement to have any plans drawn up at this point. I think more work needs to be done and studied as to what exactly needs to be done. What's the best result? What will be the best way to spend the money? Because I hate to spend $3 million on a renovation project and find out that it wasn't the best use. So I think there's more homework that has to be done. And I think the probation needs to be dealt with first and foremost. So,
What did you say about probation?
the probation, all the construction just needs that need to be dealt with over there. I think that should be a priority.
I think we can take care of that pretty easily.
That was, yeah, some of the girls have expressed.
It's been going on for a couple of years, so you weren't a part of it. You know, so that.
Well,
But that's a separate subject.
okay, I understand what you're saying. More study, more study, more study. I can tell you this much, people that sell jails will tell you the new jail is the best and only solution. People that don't necessarily sell jails will give you other alternatives.
Well, at some point, you got to put a little trust in the people that you're dealing with, because you did it when you bought your vehicle, you did it when you bought your home. You had to put your trust into somewhere, because they're going to try to sell you the most expensive house, the most expensive vehicle, with all the options.
Yeah.
But you got sometimes common sense has to kick in and take over, and you just got to go with your gut. And I just don't, in my gut, think that we've done enough studying on it. I'm not advocating a new jail. I'm not advocating anything. I'm just saying I think more homework needs to be done. That's all I'm saying. You know, it might be that the best option is exactly what you're proposing, but I think we need more numbers. I think we need more data to substantiate that, because I can't get on board with it right now.
Okay. Okay.
I think we need to fix the probation department right now. That's my first concern right now, because the girls and the guys over there are working in the conditions. That's my hot plate. And then women's work release.
Okay. Scott, you got an opinion about this?
I think it's an executive decision. You guys make it, and we'll figure out if we can pay for it.
Jim?
I don't want no new jail. I want the maintenance with our present jail kept up, and whatever it takes to keep the state happy. You know, I was on there before for 8 years, and I always heard about the jail inspectors gonna make us do this and do that, and you know, at times I don't think they're going to, because money's not there to force us into something. But I still think that we got to keep the maintenance up. If it takes doing that building over there, if that's the best thing you guys come up with, that's what I'll vote for. But I won't vote for a new jail, no way.
Bob, you got any
Can't open my
opinions?
mouth right now, I might get shot, but. I like to work with Jeff more because I think that as far as the jail situation, there's a lot of things can be done to help you there and getting things cleared out a lot quicker than what we do. There's people belong in there, yes. Other people, I think we can work with. And if there's another way to do that and get the jail population down, I'd love to do anything I could to help with that. But I agree with it. You need to do something.
Okay. John, you got an opinion?
Oh, yeah, I've got them just like everybody's got one. I wouldn't have any objection to looking at a plan on utilization of the Dollar General building, with the stipulation that's working a lot closer with Michelle and Jeff on how to use the building and not duplicating needs in that building that are already available. Now, having said that, that's in no way saying, yes, I'd vote for spending the $3 million, or if we cut out the stuff, it's 2.5 or whatever. But also realizing if it was to go through, that we're probably have reduced our options on building a totally new jail to expanding the existing facility, in my opinion. Because of the current layout of the properties that are available over there. But I wouldn't object to seeing a decent quote and layout of how they would propose to do it within reason.
Okay. Kayla, you got anything to add?
Nothing that hasn't been said. No, I agree that like Mike said, I need more information to be able to decide one way or the other. I feel like they need to be involved in creating that plan as well and keeping us involved, you involved. But at this point, I couldn't make a decision of whether I want to be for it or against it. Obviously not for a brand new jail, but I think other problems need to be fixed first.
Okay. Well, I've used up probably an hour of your time. Now it's the other two commissioners' turn to come up here and keep you for an hour each. Commissioner Nobby and Commissioner Munson are here. Fellas, if you want to add anything to this discussion?
I just think that you've been on it for so many years now. Michelle's got quite a bit of money wrapped up in it. We need to look at something. I agree with your study, but I think Michelle and Joey need to be involved, and an avenue of that avenue needs to be looked at of how to move forward.
And I don't think they have been. I think they've been eliminated from it. And it's not anybody here's fault. It's the engineering firms that have reached out to them, which are the two most important people to be.
Then why can't you go back and get one or both of these engineering firms and say, you need to talk to these people and let's get something laid out here on paper?
Right, that's part of what I'm saying is,
Right.
I don't think the most important people were included in this. Am I right, Joey and Michelle?
I spoke to DLZ and it was pretty much a fact-finding thing, but there was no,
What are your wishes and what are your desires?
Right.
And I was never spoken to at all. And when it started, they said they were going to talk to the judges and the prosecutor, everybody in the judicial system, but that didn't happen.
That's the problem.
Well, I think maybe perhaps one explanation for that was that's the difference between a feasibility study and an actual plan. So, I can see that the opinions vary a little bit here among you council members. So, we're not all on the exact same page. But I guess we will, Mark and Dale and I will try to make some sense out of this discussion and decide what to do from here. And keep you in the loop. But we do appreciate your time and sharing of ideas and the whole discussion, because for the last number of months, there hasn't been anything going on, not even a rational discussion about this thing. So the makeup of the commissioners and the council is going to be, I expect to be stable for the next 24 months. And if we can agree on something,
Mark them down.
then now is the time to, you know, try to get it done when you don't have new people coming in and that sort of thing. So I appreciate your time, and I'll just leave it at that. Anything else from you guys? Okay, thank you.
Commissioners.
Thank you.
Are there any patron concerns? If not, motion to adjourn.
I want to say something.
Okay.
About a week ago, a decision was made by, I think, a judge in this county and a prosecutor to let a certain individual go. Let him out of jail, no bond, no nothing. About a week later, the guy ends up knifing a gas company employee. I want to apologize, me being a county council, if this happened to him because of the stupidity of our court system. Even this gentleman's mother said he was in jail for about the same thing. Why would you let somebody out of jail, just release him with problems that he's got? I don't understand it. And I just want to apologize to the family that our court system was that dumb for doing it. I'm sorry. I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but he's up there in Indianapolis recuperating. He went for bad again this morning. So I just want to tell his family that I'm sorry that happened to him. It shouldn't have happened. They just released him. And then a few days later, I guess he unhooked the gas at his house. The gas company was called, and the poor guy got stabbed about 15 times. So it's wrong. And I hope the judge and the prosecutor that let him go don't get elected again. I'm just sorry. Too much of this going on in the county. We had in our neighborhood, one house, people leaving and going, about 30-some arrested to be out of jail before they even got the paperwork done. Something needs to be done. I'm done.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.